All righty.
All righty then. Let me know.
You cut out there. You keep cutting out a little bit.
I'm so loud. That's why. Hello, hello.
Okay.
Check, check, check. Let me know if you can hear me okay.
Yep. What's up, people? Let us know if you can hear us. Let us know if everything sounds okay. Let us know if someone's too high, someone's too low. What's up, Paco? We are live, right?
We are live. Yeah, I'm watching. I'm
Okay.
hearing.
Okay. Cool. I just want to make sure.
You're chilling. You're chilling.
No,
you're
I
chilling.
know my. For some reason on YouTube, it's delayed for me.
Right.
Okay, cool. So we're live and everything's okay. Yes.
Everything's Gucci, man. Everything's Gucci.
All right. What's up, Paco? He says, "Hey, boys, all fellow degenerates, leave a like. Appreciate that. Yes, guys. If you have yet to do so, do us a favor as we start the stream. Drop a like.
You like that?
If
you like that?
Only if you like the content, drop a like. We appreciate the love, appreciate the support. Jonah, I see your comment, and what I can promise you, Jonah, is that there is a complete video that's being released this weekend, completely dedicated
For that, brother.
to your trade that you guys just did in hotel. We're covering it on a video this week. So on the weekend, we're gonna break down that trade that went down in the hotel league. We're gonna talk about it with and without context, and then we're gonna kind of say what side we lean on. But I'm excited for you to see that. We literally just recorded it about an hour ago. So excited for you to see that here soon. Drusif says, just scooped Ridley. I love it, brother.
Yeah, interesting. Maybe we
I've
should
been
talk
a
about
big,
that
big
a little
advocate
bit.
of buying Calvin Ridley. And he was valued around the wide receiver 55, I think. In startup drafts last year, was getting him around round 14. Valued somewhere around like a third round pick. I just think, personally, I've been on the side of like his value is ridiculously good right now. And going to the Jags, I think that's going to be really, really interesting. You now have Christian Kirk. You've got Calvin Ridley. I think defenses are going to have trouble covering both of those guys at the same time.
Yeah, it's gonna be very interesting to see what's gonna happen. Yeah, it's just so interesting that they did that. And I don't know if you saw a tweet, and I wonder if it's accurate. Calvin really got suspended because he bet on the Falcons and Jags game, and now he got traded to the Jags.
Yeah.
Is that 100% accurate?
I believe so. Yes, I believe on his bye week he bet on that game, and then he got suspended for betting on it. So
That's so funny, man. That's hilarious.
The trade is actually really interesting as well because there's some conditions within the trade. Let me share my screen. So there are some very interesting conditions here attached to this trade, which makes me believe that this team is very all in on Calvin Ridley. Because it can cost them all the way up to a second round pick. So the Ridley conditions attached for this trade: if he gets reinstated by a date, it's worth a fifth. Otherwise, it's a sixth. If he makes the team in 24, it's a fourth. If he hits playtime milestones, it's a third. And if the Jags get a long-term deal done, it's a second. So this could end up being a second-round pick that they send. We'll have to wait, and only time will really tell. But really interesting. I like this move for the Jags. Again, not a destination that many free agents want to go. So you go out, you find an uber talented wide receiver who's in a situation that he doesn't want to be in, and you make a trade for him. So I'm very, very intrigued to see Calvin Ridley and Christian Kirk on the field at the same time, as well as Travis Etienne. Man, that could be really, really exciting to see. And who knows if they draft someone else during the draft.
It's definitely interesting. I think one thing I want to touch on this, and I think we said this in the last live stream, it was just like, we don't want someone like a Jordan Addison going to the Jags, because they did comp that, and we were like, well, there's kind of no point because it's the same thing as Christian Kirk. I wonder how that's going to work out. Not the same thing as Christian Kirk, but I think the conversation
Ridley is able
to
play on the outside, though. He's proven.
Yeah,
that.
exactly, and I think that's what's interesting. But I think the body frame. I thought they were going to go for like a big body receiver because you had the Christian Kirk, the slot guy. But Calvin, you're right. Calvin, it has proven to be on the outside. So let's see what happens. It's very interesting.
He's
I think the move
to be real successful on the outside, and that was the issue for Kirk. He just cannot play on the outside when they need him to.
Yeah.
Every time he plays on the outside, he's had terrible outputs. But yeah, I love that trade. I'm very, very excited to see him in Jacksonville. And, everyone who was kind of with me buying him, I think, feels a little good right now that, we know where he's going to be and that he's going to get a chance.
Yeah.
Ander says, is it weird that I'm starting to worry about drafting one of the top quarterbacks in this class? You know what? There's a video coming out soon that we're really excited that we did, where we do a tier based of these prospects in 2023. That will be out this week. And we go into depth on this exact conversation. So watch out for that video. Yep. I'm very excited for you to see it. What's up, MP? What's for lunch?
What's for lunch? I love it.
I'm excited to hear you guys' thoughts. Yeah, we're excited for you to hear it. Pickens to the moon. Yes, sir. This is very exciting for George Pickens. Dustin Stevens, what's up? Steven says, bet this old team would be his future team. Bet that his old team would be his future team. Yeah. Very, very interesting. But hey, guys, do us a favor again. If you have yet to do so, drop a like.
You like that?
You like that?
You like that?
You like
Drop a like. That's the easiest way to support the channel and grow the stream. What are we doing today, Badake? We're looking at a 2023 rookie mock draft. Is that right?
Yeah, looking at a 23 rookie mock draft from the NFL mock draft database via the Draft Network by Kenneth Sanchez.
Keith
Sanchez. So yeah, we're gonna do that. We're gonna go through, have more conversations about some potential landing spots of the Bryce Youngs, the Jahmyr Gibbs, all these guys, and talk about how that's gonna impact and affect fantasy players now and in the future. So
By the way, just so people know who Keith is, he's an NFL draft analyst for the Draft Network. He was most recently the lead personnel analyst for the LSU Tigers. So shout out to Keith. This is his mock draft. We're going to break it down, like Badake said, and talk about how it could impact Dynasty for these rookies. So with the first overall pick, he has the Detroit Lions going Bryce Young. And you and I feel like I'm very open to whoever the first quarterback goes off the board. I don't know where you stand at this moment, but I'm very open for it to being Bryce or CJ.
Yeah.
But putting Bryce Young in that offense could be very successful. And he's that kind of improviser quarterback that could really get the most out of all these weapons, Badake.
Yeah, exactly. And oddly enough, one of those weapons is no longer with the team, and that's TJ Hawkinson. But I do believe hey, by the way, TJ no longer there. Just more opportunity for Jamison and Amon-Ra.
And by the way, he will get to link back up with Jameson Williams, the guy that he was just uber successful with.
Exactly.
So you put Bryce Young in this offense, very, very good offensive line. You got DeAndre Swift, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams. No more TJ Hawkinson, but still, that's a very good starting point for any rookie quarterback, especially Bryce Young, and that connection with Jameson Williams could be very special if he lands there.
Exactly, one of the best offensive lines as well. We say this all the time. Whoever goes to the Lions has the better opportunity to be more successful outside of these two, whether it's Bryce or CJ. And I think they will get drafted above one another depending on landing spot. I think if Bryce Young goes to the Lions, I think we will all say we would draft him over CJ.
Yeah.
Hypothetically, if he goes to the Panthers or the Texans, and vice versa, you know. So that
something
is the
that you and I have
landing
talked
spot.
about recently is like, I think we're okay to both admit that quarterback is the most difficult position to predict. It's the most difficult position to scout. And landing spot is probably more important for quarterbacks than any other position. So this would be great for Bryce Young, and I think he would officially be locked in as my quarterback one in this class. As of right now, I have CJ Stroud as my quarterback one in the class, but still, it could be very, very interesting. We see your comments in the chat there. We'll make sure and get to them as we go. Just for people who watch it later, though, we'll keep going through this draft. All right, at number 2, the Houston Texans go Will Anderson. Not a surprise. A lot of people think he could be the best player in this draft, so no surprise there. They kind of improved their defense there. Definitely improved their defense with Will Anderson. And they have another top 5 pick, I believe, so I'm curious to see what he does with that second pick, but this makes sense. You get the best player in the draft and see what falls to you at the next pick, I guess. So
I think one thing I want to say before we move on.
Okay.
If the draft ended like this right now,
okay,
the Texans and the Panthers are going to be in a tough position. because
I mean, if it started this way.
One of these teams is like you have to trade out, don't you think?
Why? Why would they trade out though?
Okay, well, I guess you wouldn't have to trade out because you do get the best defensive player. But for example, the Panthers, maybe you trade. Do you give up the best defensive player and then trade down and hopefully try and get another quarterback? Hypothetically, let's say the Texans get the Texans get CJ. Now the Panthers on the clock is like, damn, I was really wanting CJ. We can't get him. We want a quarterback. Clearly, that's a massive need. Do they punt that position, or do you punt the position and wait until 2024 again, or do you trade and get some more draft capital to get the best defensive player in this draft class and trade down? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, I think that's going to be a real. I think that could be a massive possibility.
It's something that you and I have talked about. I personally believe that if this is the way it ends up, Lions 1, Texans 2, I personally believe that they do go quarterback here. I don't think that, even though Will Anderson is probably the can't miss prospect to this year, an edge rusher does not impact your team the way a quarterback can if you hit, right? And that's why you continually see, teams trying to hit on quarterbacks. Davis Mills has not shown enough to be the long-term starter, as ASDR has said here as well. I don't know what they would do, but personally, I still believe that the Texans would go quarterback here at 2. And you like the difference that a franchise quarterback can make versus a franchise edge rusher is worlds of difference, even though an edge rusher is very important to your defense. So
and not that many quarterbacks in free agency come to mind. Jimmy G is there, Danny Dimes, Jacoby Brissett, Andy Dalton. Lamar, I doubt that's going to happen personally, but that's really the top handful of names I just said out there that could potentially fill this role for a year in Carolina if they don't figure something out with the quarterback position.
Jusha says Lions, Texans, and Panthers have to go quarterback. We're going to interact with you guys' comments as we go through as much as we can, but we will leave time for Q&A as well at the end. Okay, so at number 3, the Carolina Panthers. They go C.J. Stroud, and I'll just read his little blurb here. He says, the Panthers already fired head coach Matt Rule and are clearly at the very beginning of a rebuild. Also, they have already pressed the reset button by trading away both Robbie Anderson and Christian McCaffrey. The Panthers need a fresh face to be the face of the organization, and that player is C.J. Stroud. Stroud is an accurate quarterback that has all the physical tools needed to be a franchise caliber quarterback. I think Stroud is the right pick here, but ultimately his success will be determined by who the Panthers decide to make the head coach next year. And we would completely agree with Keith there. CJ Stroud heading to Carolina. I mean, this is not the same landing spot as the Detroit Lions. Even though the Detroit Lions right now have the worst record in the NFL, I think for a quarterback specifically, you're set up for much more success in Detroit than you are in Houston. If we look at Houston's depth chart right now, Dameon Pierce is there. He's nice. Brandon Cooks clearly doesn't want to be there, even though they didn't trade him. Yeah. Outside of that, it's an okay offensive line. Yeah. Like Laramie Tunsil, Kenyon Green, nice pieces, but there's not a whole lot to work here with. So, I'm looking at the Texans. My bad. I meant to pull up the Carolina Panthers.
The Carolina Panthers. I mean, Carolina Panthers, they get draft picks in every single. I think they have an extra 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. I think all the way up to the 7th round, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong.
Yeah. Sorry. Here we go. So you get rid of Christian McCaffrey. Really, the only piece that we're excited about is DJ Moore. Terrace Marshall's interesting. Jury's still out on him. Ika Mekwanu looks pretty good, but I don't know, man. This would not be an ideal landing spot.
Yeah, not an ideal it's not an ideal landing spot on paper because, like, for example, it's crazy. Hypothetically, they get CJ and then they get a wide receiver in the 2nd round. Who is that? I don't know. Let's just say that's Jalen Hyatt.
Right.
How we feel there. Okay, you got a piece.
Jalen Hyatt to replace the Robbie Anderson there.
Yeah, to replace the Robbie Anderson, and then you get a third, and then you get a running back in the 3rd. Let's just say that's Sean Tucker, Zach Charbonnet.
Right.
Will
they go all offense though?
Yeah, true. Will they go all offense? The defense is pretty good though. You got Brian Burns.
The defense is good. You're right. The defense is not a bad defense at all.
Horn. What's the dude's name?
J.C. Horn is pretty
J.C.
good.
Horn.
Yep.
Yeah, there's some good pieces there in defense.
Brian Burns is great. Derek Brown's a good player who's still growing into his role. Yeah, I mean, this is an interesting landing spot. I mean, this would definitely, if this was how it panned out, I definitely am going Bryce as my first quarterback off the board in rookie drafts.
And I think it's going to be massive if CJ does go here, and you see CJ and you wait, and then
can we agree though that like, just sorry to interrupt, but like, there's no way the Texans pass on CJ Stroud.
That's what I'm saying. That's why it's so hard. Then there's no way the Panthers are going to get
this.
And I don't think there's no way the Panthers sit there and say, okay, well, let's just take Will Anderson. Like you have to. You have to do something more. Yeah. You know, like you have to get a quarterback, and the class or the free agency in 2023 is not there for them to compete. And I know they're probably not competing. You're not in a competing state right now.
Well,
but do you trade back and get a Will?
If they keep winning games, they're going to put themselves in a very difficult position.
Yeah, true. So,
so it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, I see Steven says Gino's a free agent. I see your comments in the chat, guys. I love it. All right, at number 4, the Steelers go offensive line. Maybe not the offensive lineman I would have chose here to be the first one off the board, but he says the Steelers can definitely use receiver here, but they can no longer ignore the offensive line position. The Steelers select Broderick Jones as an offensive tackle that I believe will be an immediate upgrade to what the Steelers have on their roster right now. Jones has a much-needed physical temperament and should help change the mentality of an offensive line that struggles to run blocks. So, obviously, how does this impact Dynasty? It probably helps Najee Harris. Yeah. Probably helps your quarterback. And in turn, it probably helps your wide receiver. So, I don't hate the Steelers going offensive line this early. Maybe you trade back, though.
Yeah, and we said this last time.
This isn't the offensive lineman I would take here.
Yeah, and I don't think he's gone in the first. Oh, there he goes. He's going.
We'll talk about him in a second.
Yeah, he's going pretty down there. So, look, I think no matter who it is, I'm happy that they get offensive line and offensive linemen, and I think that can definitely help. So, yeah, let's see.
Steven says, can Steelers draft an entire offensive line? Just every pick this year. All right, at number 5, the Jacksonville Jaguars go Jalen Carter, who is an absolute monster. If you thought Jordan Davis was a monster last year, Jalen Carter is on a different level altogether. He is ridiculously good, very good pass rusher as well. So I like this for their defense overall. And now that you get Calvin Ridley, like there will be question marks about if they will go, wide receiver early in the draft or not. Maybe they will go Carter if he's there. He's an incredible talent.
You get defense needs some help though. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
You can't really think.
I don't think there's there's nowhere that they don't need help, like offense or defense. They're not set either way, I would say.
Yeah, agreed. I completely agree.
MP says, oh my God, just saw Jalen Carter. Yeah, he's a freaking beast. All right, at number 6, we got the Raiders going defense, and it's Kelee Ringo. A lot of people's CB1 in the class, and I think there's a good conversation between Kelee Ringo, Joey Porter, Cam Smith, those guys, but a lot of people do have Kelee Ringo as the CB1 in the class. He says it's safe to say that the Raiders have been one of the most disappointing teams in the NFL this year. Everyone's focused on the addition of Devontae Adams, but forgot to analyze the rest of the roster and point out the talent-deficient positions. One of these positions is the cornerback position. In the AFC West, this is a bad problem to have. That's very true. The Raiders have addressed this issue and selected Kelee Ringo. So this makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. The only other thing I would suggest is maybe offensive line here.
Okay.
There's a couple names that we're probably going to talk about. Peter Skoronski, Paris Johnson. I don't know. I think the offensive line could potentially improve. Keeping Derek Carr upright and allowing Josh Jacobs to run the ball could definitely help. But I agree, defensively, they need a lot of help in their secondary.
Yeah, they definitely do. And that defense is not up to par. So let's see what happens with Kelee Ringo.
Yeah. All right. At number 7, the Houston Texans.
First wide receiver.
They do not go quarterback, but you're right. They go wide receiver, and they select Quentin Johnston. Quentin Johnston is a wide receiver that you and I would think it's safe to say he's rising up both our boards.
100%. 100%. I've been watching a lot of film, a lot of tape of this guy, and he is the clear big body Benz wide receiver in this draft class. He is your old school 6'4", 200 plus guy that's going to go and get the ball out of the air, but he got some quick feet.
Yeah.
He got some quick feet for
He's
6'4".
not slow either. Yeah.
No, he's
a very, very good, well-rounded athlete, and I think what most people are going to be scared of is honestly is the college. They're going to be scared of TCU. They're going to think Josh Doxson. They're going to think Jalen Reagor and potentially overlook an incredible talent that Quentin Johnston is. So what we've been worried about most of the year is really production. And really since the Kansas game, he's been on a tear production-wise. I mean, 2 games over 180 yards and a tud, and then back-to-back games of over 70 yards and a touchdown. So he's definitely upped his game. Those first couple weeks, it's really just the offensive scheme that they have over there at TCU that's been the struggle. But Quentin Johnston, I like this. Let's hear his reasoning. He says, with their first pick in the NFL mock draft, they selected defensive cornerstone. With this pick, the Texans decide to add to the offensive side of the ball with one of the more athletically impressive players in the draft. After a slow start, Johnston has turned up the production at 6'4" and 220 pounds. He has the potential to become a dynamic playmaker at the receiver position. So we could be seeing, their future DeAndre Hopkins of what they used to have, trying to replace that hole that they got rid of. So
yeah, it just wouldn't make sense to go defensive and then wide receiver when you have Davis Mills. Gosh, I hope it ends like this 1, 2, 3 with this team just to see the drama.
Right, like you want it to end. You want the top 3 to be this way so that you have the rest of the draft is completely unknown.
Yeah, 100%. Because I don't know. There's no way I see. There's no way you do not get quarterback. There's
I know.
No way.
I agree. I agree with you. I agree. I don't disagree with you there at all. But Quentin Johnston, first wide receiver off the board. What does this do for his capital in Dynasty? I don't feel like it really negatively impacts him. I don't feel like it's a spot that I'm obsessed with. He kind of stays around that 107 mark for me here.
Yeah, and I think Davis Mills, one thing Davis Mills is pretty good at, I think, is putting the ball where his players can get it. I think what's tough is that he doesn't have the opportunity and the weapons for him to do that. Maybe if he does get a big wide receiver like Quentin, then maybe he can just do a bunch of fades or whatever the case may be. But it doesn't change anything. I think Quentin will definitely rise in his second year with a new quarterback, hypothetically, with them getting a quarterback in 2024. Yeah. If they don't get one in 2023.
Could be a Drake London situation. The difference is that you have a competent quarterback to at least throw the ball to you.
Yeah.
All right, at number 8, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I can't believe they're this high. Go Miles Murphy, edge rusher.
That is crazy.
Do you not go quarterback here? At number 8?
I don't.
Assuming Tom Brady's going to retire, or probably move on if it doesn't work out.
That's the thing. That's the thing now, because just like last year,
who's going at quarterback here now? If it's not Brady,
just like last year though, it was only Kenny Pickett that was worthy of a first round pick. Where now you're seeing the names emerge, but like, are they worth trading up or trading back for? And there's going to be a lot of teams that in the second half of the draft still won't need a quarterback. Like the Falcons. Technically the Seahawks still need one. The Giants still need one, right?
Potentially.
Potentially. All these teams that still potentially could get a quarterback is still going to have the opportunity to get one either at the end or early the second. Whereas like maybe you have to pass on the quarterback in a Bucks perspective.
Yeah.
You see, like you can't trade back and take a quarterback. Yeah, I'll find that really difficult. That's ever happened. Has anyone traded back and then let something continue to fall?
No, but I mean, the draft last year is not a draft that we are typically used to seeing. So it's hard to say. It's hard to say what will happen. But I kind of agree with what Steven's saying there. Is like, if you want a quarterback, trust your gut and take the one that you like here at 8. If Tom Brady moves on. If he moves on, you guys went Daniel Jones at 6.
Yeah, and that's exactly
and no one had him that high. If Hendon Hooker's your guy here, if Will Levis is your guy here, I don't like Will Levis, but if he's your guy, then you take it at 8 and try and build around your future because, look, the impact that Miles Murphy can have on your team versus quarterback of the future is just a little bit different.
Yeah.
But I don't hate the pick. It makes sense. He's a good player. At number 9, The Saints pick goes to the Eagles, and they get a defensive lineman, so they just improve their team again. Not much to say there.
I don't even go offensive line. Or they, yeah, doesn't matter.
Yeah, still a lot of good offensive linemen on the board. That's very surprising. Good point. I mean, yeah, I think they would look to improve their offensive line here.
For sure.
Especially if Peter Skoronski's still on the board, as well as Paris Johnson. But who knows? We're just mocking a mock. At number 10, the Seahawks go defense as well. So I'm assuming in this scenario they stick with Geno. Let's see what he says. A couple weeks ago, everyone assumed the Seahawks were taking a quarterback with their first pick, but Geno Smith has been a pleasant surprise. And quarterback does not appear to be the most pressing need for the Seahawks right now. So with this pick, Pete Carroll and the front office continue to build the front seven out and draft versatile interior defensive lineman Brian Breesy. Okay, so I guess in this scenario they commit to Geno for at least a 2 to 3 year contract. And honestly, the more he plays the way he is, the more I feel like that's going to happen.
Yeah.
The more I feel like he's going to get one of those 2 to 3 year contracts.
Yeah. Let's see what happens, but they go defense and anything can happen.
Yep. All right, at number 11, the Cardinals go defense as well. This makes sense. They are getting torched in their secondary. That would be a nice combination of Budda Baker, Joey Porter Jr., and
Isaiah Simmons.
Isaiah Simmons, as well as number 7 on their team, who is blanking my mind right now. Byron? I can't
Byron
remember
Murphy?
His name. Byron Murphy.
Jones?
Yes, Byron Murphy.
Right.
So that would be a very good combination there. All right, at number 12, finally we get some offensive firepower here. The Chicago Bears go Jackson Smith in Jigba. Let's read his little blurb.
The Bears.
It says the Bears' offensive woes are an offensive talent problem, not a Justin Fields problem. Thank you, Keith. We're on the same page with Keith on that one. I don't need to hear about how Fields may not be the quarterback of the future. They need to dedicate this draft to upgrading the offense. I love this from Keith. In this NFL mock draft, they take Fields' former teammate Jackson Smith and Jigba. And Jigba has playmaking ability and gives Fields a reliable, familiar weapon to throw to. You know, Keith, to be fair, Fields didn't throw all that much to Jackson Smith, but I understand the point you're getting at here. And we talked about this. You know, Jackson Smith, Chase Claypool, Darnell Mooney. You improve the offensive line, all of a sudden, we could see something really, really special for Justin Fields and this team in Chicago.
Yeah, and it's once again Chase Claypool. I don't know if did you say that they traded for Chase Claypool, Jackson Smith. So it's going to be very interesting. He needs pass catches on the outside. Get Jackson Smith, and then go get some offensive linemen in the second round with well, actually you don't have a second round picks anymore. Actually, you do. You got 2. And you gave up 1.
Yeah, because they made some trades, remember?
They did make some trades. They gave up Roquan and Quentin.
Yeah.
So you have 2 second round picks. You dedicate those 2 second round picks in the second round for offensive linemen.
Or even they have a ton of cap, so improve your offensive line in free agency as well.
Exactly. You have to invest in that offensive lineman. The talent's there. You have a great tight end and Cole Kmet that can block. That can catch the ball too, so make sure you utilize him. The opportunity is there for these Bears, and we're massive Justin Fields believers. I'm still standing by it.
Same.
The most successful quarterback in the 2022 or 2021 class. I still got my money on that.
Yeah, it'll be very, very interesting to see what they do with their pick after this Claypool move. But I think that they still need to add a wide receiver. And I love this from Keith. I'm all on board. Would this change Jackson Smith's Dynasty rookie stock? Would you draft him any higher because of this move? Or would he kind of just stay, where we currently view him, where Badake and I currently have him around that 104 to the 106 area? Would he go up? Or would he kind of stay there?
Nah, he would definitely stay there. I think they would utilize him. They'll put him in. And I like everything that's happening there. So I think he stays there. I think he was still, if it's happening with Quentin Johnson, where is Jordan at? Oh, he's going to. Interesting. I guess that all depends on if Aaron Rodgers stays. But I still have Jackson Smith as my number 1. So I would say he'll be my number 1, even with this draft board, all depending on Aaron. And we'll talk about Jordan Addison as it comes up.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I like this landing spot. I agree. This definitely doesn't hurt his case at all. All right, at number 13, the Detroit Lions go linebacker. I know that this is a good linebacker, but this is way too early for linebacker. This would be.
Henry Toto.
I do not like this pick. At number 14,
there it is.
Jordan Addison heads to Green Bay. He instantly, I think, Jordan Addison would instantly be the best wide receiver on that team. He would be the most trustworthy on that team, the best route runner on that team, the most reliable target on that team. He would instantly become a top 20 wide receiver in fantasy football that year.
Yeah, 100%. And it just goes, and like I said, I was kind of hinting that when I was, does Aaron Rodgers stay? Does he say, I finally have a piece that I can throw to? What is he doing? What is he thinking? One thing we haven't probably spoken about that Aaron Rodgers said in his press conference before the whole debacle of him saying, I'm going to retire, I'm not sure I'm going to come back. He says he wants to be in the room. He wants to make decisions. He wants to be the guy that's in the room saying, okay, I like this guy. I'm watching the tape. I'm watching the film. I'm liking him. Did he do that with Christian Watson? That's crazy. That's crazy.
I don't think so.
Because who else was available? George Pickens was still there.
George Pickens, man. I always talk about that.
Yeah,
George Pickens was on the board.
Aaron Rodgers either sees something in Christian Watson that no one else is seeing, or sees maybe just as, like, he specifically said that. Like, am I wrong? Right? And it is right. He said he wants in those meetings and he wants to be part of the draft process. He did say that,
so I'm assuming he was, but
he should have some sort of say with the Christian Watson. I'm surprising that he went Christian Watson even over a lot of all these other people.
I know. I mean, we can look at the draft here. I'll actually pull it up. Jr. He was, if I'm not mistaken, he was the first wide receiver in the second round. I could be wrong on that. No, I'm not. I'm not wrong on that. So Watson went ahead of Wan'Dale Robinson, John Mechie, Tyquan Thornton, George Pickens, Alec Pierce, Sky Moore. So I think in particular the ones that confused me a lot was George Pickens, Alec Pierce, Sky Moore. I felt like those three wide receivers could really help.
George Pickens would have helped
the Packers straight away. Yeah.
I think they still would have been in the same position they would have been with Alec Pierce, Wan'Dale, and Sky potentially, but I see where George Pickens could have taken them.
Sure.
But yeah, I think everyone else is still like it's just another sidestep potentially.
Sure.
At least the way they've been performing, what we've seen on there. But I mean, Christian Watson just can't stay healthy, so that's another disappointing thing.
So if they go out and get Jordan Addison, to me that says Rodgers finishes out his contract, which is 2 more years. Mm-hmm. That is more than enough for me to feel very confident in Jordan Addison, and he becomes a very strong candidate for one of the first wide receivers off the board. I'm not saying he will be, but he becomes a very, very good candidate. I already love the talent. I keep comping him to Calvin Ridley. You pair him up with Aaron Rodgers. I feel like this move, you don't do this move if you're going to go to Jordan Love. You do this move if you're all in on Rodgers for the next couple of years. So I like this move. Very, very, very interesting, and I like the landing spot.
Jordan Love. Holy shit.
What?
The Panthers will trade for Jordan Love.
Oh my gosh. They are done sending second-round picks for quarterbacks that are unproven. As much as I love Jordan Love, they're done doing that. Hopefully.
Quarterback with no chance. Yeah. Jordan Love to the Panthers.
Stop. Do not put that over him.
Put on Twitter.
I have held him for so long in our home Dynasty League because I am waiting for him to get a chance to take over this team.
Put it on Twitter.
At number 15, the Colts go Will Levis. Mm-hmm. A quarterback I've just been really off, man. It's been well known, well documented, my confusion of the Will Levis hype. I can see all the raw materials, but if you go on raw materials, I would rather go Anthony Richardson because both are just as unproven. Both have a lot of areas that they need to improve in. And I said to you last week, like this Tennessee game is going to show me a lot. Like we were watching it together and I said to you, I want to believe in Will Levis. Show me something, Will. And then he threw 3 interceptions and completed less than 60% of his passes. Yeah, I understand all the raw materials are there, but I don't think it's up here for him.
Right.
How do you feel about this landing spot?
It's interesting. I don't mind this landing spot because I trust in Frank Wright. That's the biggest thing.
Okay.
We've seen the success in quarterback with Frank before. And I think that's what really intrigues me, right? I think Will Levis, and I said this before, Will Levis all depends on where he lands and who is upbringing him. And I think that's the biggest thing. You need a team to develop Will to get to his full potential, because he's not at his full potential.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he does have all the tangibles. He has everything. He has the arm talent, legs. Can he read the field well? Can he do all that? Maybe that's something that he still needs to improve on. But I actually don't mind this landing spot, because that means this offense changes, right?
Sure. I don't think this helps any of the pass catchers, though.
It doesn't help any of the pass catchers. I don't even think it helps Jonathan Taylor, to be honest.
No, it doesn't.
But
yeah.
it definitely affects everything. In a fantasy perspective, it's not great. For Will Levis as a person, as a player, I think this could be a good team that he goes on that has an average offensive line, a good defense.
They have a good history as well of being able to create quarterbacks that are successful. Of course, they were handed Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck, but still, they have a history of at least successful quarterback play.
And you have the talent around. You have Jonathan Taylor, you have Alec Pierce, you have Michael Pittman, all these guys that you can bring up with him, Mo Alley Cox, or Jalen Woods now. So there's opportunity there for Will if he goes to this landing spot. We just got to wait and see how they help him.
I truly was so open-minded this week watching that game, and we watched the 2021 film before this college football season, and my real takeaways were, if Wan'Dale Robinson wasn't open, he was tucking it and running it. And this year, I see him trying to progress across the field, but he doesn't have that ability yet. Like, he's not grown into that role, and what you're seeing is him trying to progress but making bad decisions. So, I don't know. At least he's trying. I will say that this makes me open to spending a late first-round pick on him in Dynasty rookie drafts just because of the landing spot in the draft capital.
Yeah.
I still don't have a first-round grade on him as a quarterback, but I understand why they would want to make this move, and it's a good place for him to land.
Yeah.
All right, at number 16, the Patriots go defense. At number 17, the Commanders go defense. Again, please do not take another linebacker in the first round for Washington. We already had to go through that with Jamin Davis. Stop doing this. Don't like it. At number 18, the Bengals go cornerback Cam Smith, who a lot of people actually have as their CB1 in the class. I understand this move. Their defense is pretty solid, but they could definitely always improve their secondary. At number 19, the Falcons. This is the big one. This is the big cherry popper. The Falcons go Bijan Robinson. Wow. Now you have the Falcons offense, which consists of Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Kyle Pitts. But who the hell is the quarterback?
Who the hell is the quarterback?
Does this help any of the pass catchers?
Jordan Love. Again.
Nah. Oh my gosh, stop.
Once again, do you go out and get a quarterback, and once the video comes out, you guys will understand, do you go out and get a quarterback second round and then take an opportunity? But the thing is, if you draft Bijan, that is telling me who Desmond Ridder is.
Yeah, exactly. And when are they going to find that out this year?
Right. Does he say anything about that?
Let's see. He says the Falcons have been one of the most surprising teams in the NFL, winning some games that no one expected them to. Arthur Smith is showing how creative he can be offensively. Okay, you're not watching these games, Keith. No disrespect to Keith.
Come on, Keith.
While still showcasing the run game. Really, Keith? There's no creativity in this offense. Right now, the Falcons are taking a running back by committee approach, but with this pick, they decide to just upgrade the room completely and draft one of the most talented players in the draft, Bijan. Complete back that will thrive in this system. I do agree with that part. He would thrive in this system. The part about this offense being creative, no, it's not. You were down by 3 touchdowns and you threw 13 attempts in a game. There's no creativity in there. It's just running the ball. Jimmy to Atlanta might happen if they draft like this, someone said. Yeah, I mean, that could be really interesting. That would definitely make it very interesting. But let's say they stick with Marcus Mariota throughout the entire year, because right now they have no reason to change. Let's say they stick with him, and then you still don't know who Desmond Ridder is next year. You re-sign Mariota to another 2-year deal. What the hell do you do with the pass catchers here in Atlanta? I love the landing spot for Bijan, but what the hell do you do with Pitts? What the hell do you do with London?
I think bigger question is, what the hell you do with Kyle Pitts? Another year of disappointment.
Not London?
Well, for both, honestly, for the whole team.
Yeah. Well, that was my question. Like, what do you do with these guys? I said Pitts and London.
Oh, sorry. You hold on. You hope you hope for a better quarterback day to come through. You know, I see somebody says Jimmy G can go to Atlanta, might help with the draft.
Yep.
It all depends. You know, one thing I thought of, which probably is super unrealistic, but they were in talks. They were
Do not say Jordan Love.
No, they were in talks in front runner players for Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
What if they go out and try and make a big splash like that again?
With who? Who's a disgruntled quarterback that wants to leave?
Well, the only one on the map right now. I mean, he doesn't want to leave, but it feels like the organization doesn't want to pay him. That's Jackson. Once again,
is Lamar Jackson.
That's the only other.
That wouldn't help. That, you know what? That would be great for Kyle Pitts, because we know how Lamar Jackson utilizes his tight end.
But the thing is, like, that's the only thought. Once again, super unrealistic. But they was like, you know what? They were willing to give up 3 first-rounders for Deshaun. Right? Can they do the same thing for Lamar?
Well, Lamar would be a free agent. The only way they could, I guarantee that I guarantee you that they would franchise tag him. Baltimore would. They would not let him go for free. So you would have to work that out. What about Tom Brady? Like, would he be willing to go to this team? Probably not this late in his career. I'm just looking at free agent quarterbacks. I mean, someone said it. Danny Dimes. He is a free agent.
Depends on where we go.
Dalton's a free agent. I don't know. None of these guys feel like the answer. I mean, Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush is a free agent.
Oh gosh, Cooper.
Could you imagine that?
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm gonna throw out a name, and I would love it for all the pass catchers. Gardner Minshew. Gardner Minshew to Atlanta. I mean, anyway, this would solidify Bijan as a 101. I don't think there's any scenario, any team that he goes to where he's not my 101, but I love this landing spot for him. This would be incredible. I'm not sure what it means for the offense, though.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, agreed.
All
right, and just quickly on the depth chart, I mean, so you would probably have Marcus, Bijan, Drake London, Kyle Pitts. Yeah. I feel like they need to go defense if they don't go quarterback, but what do we know?
Mac Jones to Atlanta's happy season.
Mac Jones to Atlanta could be interesting, but that situation's so confusing.
Well, to be fair, we can't discredit people that have been playing somewhat decent. Jacoby Brissett, the Geno Smiths, if they don't get a quarterback.
Yeah, hard to see Geno leaving though.
That I agree. What if Taylor Heineke? What if you guys go get? What if
Heineke would be fun? Yeah.
I think those are the people that, and Cooper Rush, those are the backups that have came in and said, okay, you know what? Like, this is my time. I need an opportunity. And maybe one of these teams, maybe Atlanta gives him an opportunity.
Yeah, Taylor Heineke is actually from Atlanta.
Hey, every year he's going back home. He's going back home and he's a free agent.
Yeah. MP. Let's see, man. Let's see what happens. They looked pretty good versus the Rams, but a lot of people look pretty good versus Rams. Goff.
True, because they're gonna get a quarterback. That is so true.
I don't know.
If that happens,
let's see. Anything's possible. You're not wrong. He says NFC better not let Lamar go to Atlanta. Lamar's running threat paired out with the coach who will set him up. Yeah, he definitely could do very well there. All right, Bijan will be locked in at the 101 no matter where he goes, but we love this landing spot. It's a sexy pick. All right, at number 20, this is another sexy pick. The Dolphins go Michael Mayer, or Mayer. I'm pretty sure it's Michael Mayer.
Michael Mayer.
His blurb says the Dolphins have all the speed they need on the outside to dictate coverage over the top with Tyreek and Jalen Waddle. Now it's time to add someone that can control the middle of the field. With this selection, the Dolphins decide to draft Notre Dame playmaking tight end Michael Mayer. Mike McDaniels spent time in San Francisco with George Kittle, so he understands the importance of the tight end position. My comp for Mayer's pretty much been George Kittle. Like, I didn't want to be disrespectful to George Kittle, but as far as being like a complete all-around, you can do it all as a tight end, that is Michael Mayer, the tight end out of Notre Dame. So I like this landing spot. This could be a really cool landing spot, and that offense could just take another step.
That is true.
Assuming Gesicki leaves with this move.
By the way, someone in the chat Mag D said Dolphins traded away their pick to Denver, so they don't have this pick
Okay,
anymore.
so they don't have their pick. Yeah, this was released on the 31st, so this would have been one day before.
Mm-hmm.
So you're right. So Denver would have that pick. So, but I mean, let's say a scenario, and if he goes to the Dolphins, we would like that landing spot. I saw a different mock where he went to the Bengals, and I fell in love with that landing spot.
Like that. Hypothetically, if the Broncos were here, I don't think they will go anywhere offensive. More maybe like an offensive line, potentially.
Yeah, offensive line could be the play.
I don't think they will go tight end. They just got Greg, and he's kind of showing out right now. You have some young wide receivers still with Cortland, Jerry, all these guys. Mm-hmm. Defense is just studs all around. They could go defense or offensive line. So I just want to put that out there for the people that maybe Denver fans that watch this. I don't think they will go offensive personally.
Yeah, O-line probably makes a lot of sense for them.
Yeah.
All right, at number 21, the Chargers go Darnell Washington. I keep seeing Darnell Washington mocked inside the first round. I guess this is one of those picks that's player traits over production.
Right.
Because Darnell Washington does not have a lot of production right now with Georgia. And is that his fault? No. I mean, they have like 4 first-round tight ends on their team right now. But the production has just not really been there for him this year. 19 catches on 332 yards and 0 touchdowns. But again, the traits. He is 6'7". He is 270 pounds. He improves your running game. He improves your ability to just throw the ball up and let someone get it.
It's offensive lineman, bro.
Sorry?
That's offensive lineman.
Yeah. But what I was just going to argue something like, don't the Chargers kind of already have this type of tight end in Darnell Parham?
You're right, but they don't.
Darnell Parham, I know he hasn't been like healthy, but he's 6'8", 240. So I guess Washington's a little bit different as far as like he's a little heavier. I don't know. It's interesting. I love the Michael Mayer. Someone had the Chargers actually mocking Michael Mayer. I think that would make a lot more sense, but I don't know. Parham's hurt for sure. Yeah, it's interesting landing spot. Does this, like Darnell Washington right now, does this make you excited about him?
No, it doesn't. It's another guy on a team. Unless like Keenan Allen leaves, and we see how they need to start getting this guy worked in. But I think you either go defensive or you maybe. I think they would go Michael. Really they would go Michael. Like hypothetically,
if Michael was there,
Michael, hypothetically, 20 Broncos take Michael offensive line, and then Michael Mayer goes there.
Yeah.
I think that would be significantly better. A guy that they can truly pass to, a pass catcher.
Yeah, I could see a scenario in which that could make sense for sure.
Yeah.
Hey guys, shout out to everyone who is watching. If you could do us a huge favor and drop a like on the stream.
You like that? You like that?
Do it for Kirk. Do it for Kirk, who just got TJ Hawk. Appreciate you guys. That's the best way, easiest way to support what we're doing. All right, number 22, the Seahawks. They go defense. At number 23, the Jets go offensive tackle, which makes a lot of sense for their current offensive game plan. It's all around the run game. So now Breece Hall gets another upgrade on that offensive line. Mekhi Becton is struggling to stay healthy. This makes a lot of sense. I think it could be a steal this late.
Agreed. Completely agree.
All right. At number 24, the Ravens go cornerback. At number 25, the Chiefs go edge. At number 26, Dallas goes quarterback. This one I want to talk about. 27, defense. At number 27, the Giants go Hendon Hooker.
Oh, boy.
Firstly, I love Hendon Hooker, so I would hate this because I don't want him to be a Giant.
Right.
But this landing spot could make a ton of sense for him. How do you feel about this?
I would just be, one, in disbelief. 1, 2, I would also have to trust the process. I 100% wholeheartedly trust the way Brian Dable and Joe Shane is building up this team. And if they believe in someone like a Hendon Hooker, I'm right there with them. Not that no one believed in Josh Allen, but Josh Allen, was a lot of question marks coming in, and they were like, what's happening? And they brought him up, and they made him to be who he is today. So I'm excited if that's maybe the same case with Hendon Hooker.
Yeah.
We'll wait and see. I trust the process. That means if this happens, that means Daniel Jones is no longer with us, or he's just a good backup that they want to keep.
Yeah. Well, he would have to sign a contract there, so he probably tries to find somewhere.
Yeah.
To start.
But we'll definitely see. I'm not going to say I'm not in love with it, because I actually do believe this is a massive possibility, genuinely.
Yeah. I would hate this as a fan of the NFC East, but I love Hendon Hooker, so it's a good landing spot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dual threat quarterback, love him. I've been highlighting him all year, and it's cool to see him doing well. Would this solidify him as for me, this solidifies him as like a top 10 pick in rookie drafts.
Okay. Yeah,
Would you say the same?
I think it all depends on if they bring in another wide receiver. If they don't bring another wide receiver, I'm concerned for the offense.
Okay.
But
I think that's very fair.
I think I do believe he can definitely, bring other people, but we'll see.
Sure, maybe they follow the model that the Bills did, bring in the Stephon Diggs for Hendon Hooker, whoever that would be.
Yeah.
All right, at number 28, the Titans go Kayshon Boutte, and I feel like we have
Didn't we have this last time?
talked about this landing spot before. We don't love it. We don't hate it. Boutte was like, my comp is not necessarily Deebo Samuel, but like that's the type of usage you could see for Boutte in the NFL.
Right.
That's how I feel about Burks. So I'm not sure how this really makes any sense. Let me read his blurb, though. He says, after the departure of A.J. Brown, it appears the Titans are missing an explosive element to their offense. Treylon Burks will be good in due time, but they need a guy that is a threat to take a play the distance. And that's exactly what Boutte is. Boutte should be a great compliment to Burks. If Malik Willis and Boutte get on the same page, they could instantly turn into this one of the most explosive offenses in the NFL. So, I don't know. It's interesting.
I find it interesting that, like, this is what's interesting, because I feel like a lot of people were saying the same thing about, take the whole team to the next level with Treylon Burks, but they're not talking about him like that anymore. And I think
yeah. It's like,
obviously,
why have we given up on him? Nothing. He hasn't even had a chance to really show himself just yet.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of the community is saying, well, and this is a lot of mocks have been mocking Tennessee, not even just Kayshon, it's just other people as well. And it's just like, well, why do they need another wide receiver if they traded away A.J. Brown, probably one of the best talent, top 10 wide receiver in the league right now, I would say, for Treylon Burks, who is a guy that still needs another person to help him break out.
Sure. Well, I think I don't think it's uncommon for it to be helpful for a wide receiver if they bring someone in. I just don't think this is the right wide receiver to bring in. For me, I think like a Jalen Hyatt would make a lot of sense to stretch the field. Jordan Addison already went, but he would make a lot of sense. Maybe a Josh Downs. Are those players more talented than Kayshon Boutte? No, I don't think so. But I don't like these guys matched up. So, yeah. Okay. The Titans need defense more than offense, Steven says. MP says, I just got A.J. Brown for Pickens. Dang. Congratulations. All right, at 29, the Vikings get one of the best tackles in the draft at the end. I don't see Peter falling this far, but I mean, this would be good for all offensive pieces.
I would be surprised if, honestly, the Giants are still available and Peter's there and they don't take him.
Right. Well, your offensive line has improved.
But all those guys are on one-deal contracts. Literally, all of them one deal. So, like, unless we extend all those guys, it will be interesting. But maybe that's just a thought process. But
yeah, this would be good for every offensive weapon there, though, I would say, in Minnesota.
Yeah, agreed.
At 30, the Bills go defense. At 31, the last pick of the draft, the Eagles go Jahmyr Gibbs, running back out of Alabama. You and I both love Jahmyr Gibbs. Yeah. The Alvin Kamara, Aaron Jones comps are flying through the air. When I say dual threat running back, I mean like on the ground and as a pass catcher. He can do it all. So in PPR leagues, he would be very, very exciting to watch in this offense. And I assume that this would mean that Miles Sanders would be gone, that he would have moved on through free agency. I will say, though, not my favorite landing spot for Gibbs, again, because I'm not sure how many dump-off passes you will get when Jalen Hurts is your quarterback. I like the offense, so there could be efficiency, but we could have the same issues that we've had with Miles Sanders with Jahmyr Gibbs, where he's losing touchdowns to Hurts, where he's not getting dump-offs,
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Jameer. It's unless they change this offense, but at the same time,
At the same time, what? Sorry, you cut out there.
I just don't see that happening. I don't see
Yeah.
I don't see the offense.
No, I don't think
I
the
don't,
offense changes. No.
I don't see the offense changing to kind of cater to this running back room. So yeah, I don't like the landing spot for Jameer, but
Yeah.
we gotta wait and see.
Yeah. So Steven said, so who are your top 5 from this then? For me, it would be Bijan as my 101. I would then have Bryce Young as my 102. I probably would put CJ as my 103. My 104 would be probably be between Jackson Smith, Jordan Addison, and Jahmyr Gibbs. It would be hard to choose between those guys, but somewhere around there. I don't know how I would order them just yet.
Yeah, no, I mean, with these landing spots, I personally would go Brees. I would go CJ.
You would go. Sorry, Brees. What do you mean by Brees?
Sorry, Bryce. Sorry, I meant to
You
go.
would go Bryce over Bijan Robinson.
I still will go Bryce. Yeah, and we spoke about this a little bit. And I was just like, I think if one of these quarterbacks lands in a landing spot that is significant, like the Lions, like Bryce Young has, I think he should be in conversation for being the 101 in rookie drafts. So it would be Bryce. It would be Bryce. It would be CJ or Bijan. I think vice versa. Depending on how well you want to build it. Then Jordan Addison if he stays. If Aaron Rodgers stays. Jackson Smith. But I actually might go Jackson Smith maybe because the longevity of Justin Fields potentially staying with the Bears is higher than the Packers, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah.
You know, they're still building around him. They give him, they probably do the 5th-year option, see how he performs, and then maybe give him a 2-year contract extension still with Jackson Smith. I might go Jackson Smith over Jordan Addison just purely based on the longevity potentially of Aaron Rodgers. Because Aaron Rodgers is going to his 2nd year of his 3-year contract. Jordan Addison will be in his 2nd year, and then Aaron Rodgers leaves.
Yeah. No, I can understand that. I find troubles not going Bijan at the 101, but I understand where you're coming from. And I think, again, it all stems from that 2021 class where we thought we had so many guaranteed hits, and it just didn't pan out like that. And a lot of people missed out on those guaranteed running back and wide receiver talents. But I definitely understand the conversation. I think if Bryce lands there, he's locked in as my 102, but I get where you're coming from. I definitely get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
So you would go CJ Stroud over Bijan if he went to the Panthers.
I think with the context of kind of like what I talked about earlier, like if I see them investing in this team, if they get a wide receiver in the 2nd, if they get a running back, if I see, okay, they're making really good strides, they get a good head coach. With all that context, I would highly consider if my team needs that.
Okay.
But if it doesn't, because I actually don't mind drafting based on team needs, but if it doesn't, but I still like what Bijan doing, I would definitely take Bijan. That's why I say I think it's vice versa. Like it's interchangeable depending on what your team needs and how that. The Panthers need to do a lot to prove to the fantasy community that they are investing in everyone around, like DJ, like the running back, like the quarterback that's going to come in. So let's see.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see. We want to leave a couple minutes for any Q&A that you guys might have. We can talk about some of the trades that went on today, if we want. We already talked about the Calvin Ridley trade to begin the show. The TJ Hawkinson trade is interesting. You said you had some thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm not necessarily sure I love the trade personally, and I think maybe it was the way Irv Smith has been utilized. Yeah, I would say TJ is more talented than Irv Smith personally, and they haven't used him. Isn't Irv Smith like one of the best tight ends coming out of college? He was a first-round pick.
Wasn't a first-round pick. No.
Who was that?
I believe he was a second-round pick. Well, TJ Hawkinson was that tight end of Iowa. He was a top 10 pick.
I remember us talking, or maybe it was somebody else.
I personally like this landing spot because, Steven talks about it. Thielen is someone I was going to bring up there. Adam Thielen is getting older in age. Now you give Kirk Cousins, who has made a lot of tight ends very fantasy relevant throughout his tenure. You give him a really reliable option over the middle of the field. So I like this landing
Three-star.
spot for TJ. I actually think he becomes a more important piece to the offense than what he was in Detroit.
Yeah.
I like this. I like this for him for fantasy.
It's going to be interesting because if they do move on from Thielen, like soon, like now, like at the end of this year, let me look at Thielen's contract. Because if they do move on from, then I will be interested.
Yeah, he's got 1 year left on his deal. Oh no, sorry. They have a potential out next year, but they have him on contract until 2025.
Right. Okay. So
yeah.
Right. If they keep him until contract 2025, I'm still not in love with TJ because they haven't utilized the tight end position significant like the way that we thought they were going to use him in the fantasy. Well, Irv Smith was hurt last year. He had somewhat of a decent rookie year ish. And then coming into now this year, it's like, well, everyone, even like that's why we were off. It was like, well, we don't see him progressing, and I don't think that getting TJ is gonna help the progression in the fantasy perspective. Like it doesn't change.
I kind of on the opposite side. I really like this landing spot. Really great offense that he's attached to. Not that it wasn't in Detroit, but I trust Kirk Cousins a little bit more than I do Jared Goff at the tight end position.
That's fair.
Historically, he's really focused on his tight ends, and I think Adam Thielen, while he's been good, you have seen a little bit of a drop off. So I think he competes for the second most targets on this team with Adam Thielen. What's up? Bob's like, cheese CEO there. He says CJ over Bijan. Wow. What's up? Welcome in.
Yeah.
MP says, does Swift get an uptick in targets? Honestly, I don't think this really changes all that much for the pass catchers because it's not like TJ was getting, 8-9 targets per game in that offense anyway. I think this is really, when you add Jameson Williams into the offense, I don't think much is going to change for anyone else. In the meantime, I think maybe he'll get an uptick.
Yeah, maybe.
They can't keep Thielen that long. He's getting too old. Lions want fewer touches for Swift. Yeah, so this is a very interesting move. How about the Chase Claypool move? How did you feel about that?
I was a bit hesitant. So, somebody in one of our follower leagues, I think it was JC, said, if this stops the Bears from drafting a wide receiver, I would be really upset.
I don't anticipate that happening, but I agree that would suck.
And that would suck. And that was one of the first things I did think of. I was just like, well, are they still going to get a wide receiver? And I hope they do, because I don't think Chase Claypool is the answer of all their problems. I do believe he's talented. He didn't have a great opportunity when he did come in with Ben Roethlisberger. Now this year, there was just too many mouths to feed. So now he has a good opportunity to either be the wide receiver 1 or 2 on this team. And well, at least for this year so far, like
he's interesting because talent's never been the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Like talent, I think you and I can agree. Like he's never not had the talent. The problem has always been like the maturity and the consistency. What I find interesting is that the Steelers were able to get exactly what they drafted him for back in return. They were able to get a second-round pick. They spent a second-round pick on him. That is crazy to me. I don't think they should have spent that much. That more felt like a third-round pick.
Did you see the report that the Packers offered a second-round pick, but they expected the Bears' draft pick to be higher?
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. So there was a bidding war. But I mean, if you look at Claypool's career so far, right? As a rookie, he comes out, gets 109 targets, 62 catches for 873 yards. Outside of that, if we look at these last 2 years, what about these last 2 years show us that he should have been worth a second-round pick?
Right.
It's again, this is all based off of the unknown upside that he brings to the offense. So it'll be interesting. I'm not sure that he gets enough production in this system, to really know if it's worth it.
I would love to see how much they change their offense now that they have another wide receiver. We need to see.
Yeah,
we need to see a big difference here with Chase Claypool as fantasy owners, so we can see that happen next year as well if they do get another wide receiver. Unless it's just
all I can say is, I just love Justin Fields. You and I both have been on the Justin Fields train, and we have not hopped off. And I'm glad that we stayed true to ourselves. And I picked him up in our home league. I love the next 3 games for him. Did you know, Badake, since week 5, he's the quarterback 2?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. In our format, in the way that we have scoring. So
yeah.
I'm excited. I'm excited to see what this could do for him.
It's crazy.
It was funny on Pat McAfee. I can't remember what the guy's name is, but he's a Steelers fan. He's like, "Yep, if you want someone to go up and grab the ball and drop it on his ankles, you got the right player."
I didn't see that.
That is funny.
That's about it. I don't think anyone else was traded. Oh, well, obviously you have the Jeff Wilson, Chase Edmonds.
Jeff Wilson, yeah. Where did he go again? I'm
He
still
went
trying
to
to catch
Miami.
up.
Jeff Wilson. He went back to Miami with McDaniels.
I think that could be really scary for Raheem Mostert.
Yes, I agree as well. Who else? And then Chase went to Denver, which they already announced, saying that Melvin and Latavius first and second down guy. They'll split the backfield, where Chase would be a third down guy. They don't really pass the ball anyway to the
It's worth at least picking him up if he's on your waiver wire just to see what would happen. But I don't really like it. It's not really all that exciting. Nyheim Hines to the Bills. That's what we need to talk about.
Yeah, Nyheim Hines to the Bills.
We talked about this a little bit before
Yeah.
recording today, but to me, this is like very confusing from the perspective of like, what exactly were you doing when you drafted James Cook then? And who needs to be fired from your scouting department? I do not understand. Like, I truly don't understand. James Cook is dead. He is dead.
Yeah, he is.
He's dead. And in Dynasty, it doesn't get any better for James Cook either. Those people who were holding out hope for James Cook in Dynasty, waiting for the opportunity to come, which he looked pretty good last week. I thought maybe after the bye they could have get him more involved, but
Nyheim Hines contract.
He's not that guy. I think there's at least 2 years left on Hines' contract.
Yeah, because he did get a 2 year. So wait, technically one, right? Because this year counted as one. So they do have an out. Technically, the Bills do have an out next year.
But and still, what kind of confidence does this show?
I think for me, and I said this earlier when I was talking to you, I don't think they have confidence in they don't have confidence right now in James Cook, the rookie, to help him in a playoff standpoint. We need to win a game. We need a guy that can catch the ball on third down, on 3rd and 5, and it's a quick Texas route. Nyheim Hines is going to catch that ball. Yeah, every single day. We will bank on that. I'm not saying James Cook can't do that. I just don't think they have the confidence in him right now to be like, we're putting our faith in him to do that. But I could be wrong.
There's 3 years left on his deal. Nyheim Hines. So James Cook is truly a big fat GG's. And honestly, if I have Devin Singletary, I don't feel good about this either. Because what might be the case here is that they were waiting for James Cook to be able to fill that third down role. And they were like, all right, we're done. Nyheim Hines can fill it now.
Right.
So, yeah. Anyway, it is what it is. Sucks for anyone who owns James Cook. But what can you do?
What can you do? We'll see what happens. Next minute, they just trade for Nyheim Hines and James Cook is balling.
Imagine.
Gosh, that would just be so confusing.
Yeah, what can you do? Anyway, guys, huge love. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you guys if you hung out with us the whole way through. Do us a favor, drop a like on the video, subscribe, and we'll see you. I guess actually, I'll say this: we have a lot of good content coming on this channel this week, including a tiered video, which I think you guys are going to enjoy. We have a lot of disagreements on that video, which is fun always for people to see. But we'll see you guys soon. Enjoy the rest of your week, and good luck this week in fantasy football.
Huge love.